The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this Act, the Frankfort Township Board of Education has caused advance notice of this meeting and general agenda to be submitted for publishing in the official newspaper as well as district and municipal offices on June 29th, 2023. I'll rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chris, you want to call roll call for us?
Kathleen Adam.
Here.
Leif Anderson.
Here.
Jamie Armando.
Here.
Raymond Castellani.
Here.
Chris Dexter.
Here.
Caitlin Fredo.
Here.
Mandy Joust.
Here.
Jennifer Nouse.
Here.
John Tiger.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Recognitions and presentations. Who's going to be handling that?
We have only one right now, which is John McCarthy, student in the 8th grade. Is John here? No, John right there, okay. Welcome to address the board.
So my printer wasn't working at home, so I have to bring out my phone. Good evening, my name is John McCarthy. I was the student council president for last year. I'm here today to talk about National Juniors Honor Society, or NJHS. The main goal of any school, program, educational institution, or organization is to see their scholar or student succeed academically as a citizen, character, and a leader. National Juniors Honor Society is a nationally recognized program in which the council inducts students with traits such as leadership, citizenship, service, and character. The excelling students are inducted by a board of 6 members, 1 chapter advisor, and 5 other faculty members. The chapter advisor is responsible for supervision of the chapter and to act as a bridge between the administration, faculty, students, and the community. There are also files on membership, chapter history, activities, and financial transactions. The chapter advisor shall complete the annual survey and submit it to the national office. There will be an ex officio and non-voting member who facilitates the council meetings, and a stipend can also be negotiated with the FTEA for this position. 5 of the board members will meet a few times a year to look at the procedures of the chapter, select students and members, consider dismissal of members, or other disciplinary procedures. As for the members themselves, they are selected by the 5 board members and given the choice to join or decline. If a candidate declines, resigns, or is dismissed, they are no longer eligible to be given the choice to again join the society and be eligible for its benefits. The selected student candidates later become members after they are inducted in a special ceremony. Members can be inducted anywhere from 6th to 8th grade. 1 student member is selected to be the president of the chapter and control meetings with the advisor's approval. This description of the selection procedure will be published in an official school publication that is widely available in a timely fashion to all students and parents of the school. The selection of the procedure shall be determined by the faculty council and shall be consistent with the rules and regulations of National Juniors Honor Society. The regularity of meetings, whether that be weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, etc., shall be designated in the chapter bylaws. The chapter president may call special meetings approved by the executive committee. Chapter shall conduct meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, in all points not expressly provided for in the NJHS Constitution, or the chapter bylaws. Each chapter shall write bylaws to amplify sections of this Constitution and to clarify operating procedures of the chapter. Bylaws do not need the approval of NASSP, but may be within the agreements of NJHS Constitution. This includes the necessary GPA requirements, which must be higher than 85%. However, this can be changed in chapter bylaws. As for the chapter itself, the annual affiliation fee is $385. Years ago, Frankfurt did have NJHS, however it was stopped because the advisor who ran it retired, and they decided to move on. NJHS official page states, note that students and parents cannot apply to establish a chapter. So if you, the FTS Board of Education members, decide to move forward with this great program, the new principal, whoever that may be, will truly have to put in our name for it. I'm here today to start opening this door to a new world with the new principal, a few guesses from the board. We, the FTS community, can really step foot into the new academic world, that being NJHS.
Very good, John.
Thank you, John. That's it.
We have to make a motion to institute that program.
I wanna have a discussion or.
Motion was discussion.
Seems like a great program that we've had before,
Yeah.
$385.
So I'll ask John, do we have a faculty member that's gonna head up this? Is it our principal?
It can't be the principal, but I was talking with Mr. Hirsch and Mr. Brizzi before they left. We have to put it out there for all faculty members, so it's fair. And with that, I needed the secretary's help, and she was also retiring. So it's pretty bad.
We know that.
We know that all too well.
So
We can make a motion to move forward, assuming someone.
I heard that we do have a new secretary, but I'll need her help to fully advertise it to all the faculty members.
So like putting a stipend in, right?
Yeah, we
Or-
would need, we would need
Or
a
volunteering.
stipend. We don't have that at this point,
Right.
but
Could be like a volunteer
Is the-
position for this?
Yeah, maybe for like the first year.
Yeah,
Is the 285 that's yearly?
385 is annual
385.
affiliation, yes.
And is that something that the board covers or something that is fundraised in the Honor Society doing? The board expense?
The districts that I've been in, the board.
It's a general budget.
Yeah, it's part of the stipend positions, typically, it's how it's been done in the other districts.
okay.
Make a motion to move forward, give him permission to move forward with the program and investigate it with the new secretary?
I'll make the motion.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, you did? I'll
You
second.
second it?
All in favor?
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. That's-
John, first before they leave, I applaud you for standing up. I applaud you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good job, John.
Thank you for calling our attention to it.
I think that moves us on to the superintendent's principal section.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking the Board of Education for allowing me to serve this outstanding school district. I'm really enjoying my first few days here, and I'm sure I'll continue to enjoy my time. Also, my partner over here, Kurt Bolton, is the interim middle school principal, and we're working very well together, and we'll continue to do so. So, welcome aboard. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Braden Hirsch, who really did a great job getting transitional activities with me going. He even called today just to make sure that they needed, in case they needed some last minute tips about running the board meetings. But he was great and filled me in on everything he could. We met before the contract started 3 or 4 times, and then a day and a half, after I was on board. So we did get to spend quite a bit of time, and I think the transition is going well. So thank you very much. I wanted to start by talking to the board about communications. Depending on the situation, there are several ways in which I like to communicate to the board. Several times a month, sometimes 4 times a month, sometimes 3, depending on what's going on. I issue what I call updates, and they're somewhat similar to what you received here, just things that are happening in the district. Not usually emergency things, but just items, activities that I'd like the board to know about. And I just call that updates. For your information is a little bit different. For your information is usually an email about something I need you to know now. Maybe not a major issue, but something I need you to know about now. And that's a different type of communication. The third type of communication is individual calls. God forbid if something serious happens in the district, I will be calling each board member. I've done that only a few times in my career, but occasionally that has to happen. You need to know exactly what happened and how we're dealing with it, with a serious event, and hopefully we won't have it. And I also always like to invite board members to reach out to me, or telephone call, stop in. I'd just like to hear from you about what you think the district needs during this interim time, and I think you'll find that I'm very open to suggestions. I shared today, and I'll be sharing at every meeting, my cell phone number, which is, give me a second to take a pen out, 862-200-6621. The reason I do that is I just think that if people have a serious concern, something that is time sensitive, maybe some kind of emergency, something that the district needs to know, I do welcome people to call. And I found that people are very respectful about it, but on occasion they do need it. And when they do need that contact, it does come in handy. So I would appreciate that. And board members, please feel free to stop in or give me a buzz or whatever, and we'll talk about whatever you think we need to know. And I do think that's an important feature. Doesn't have to be tomorrow, but relatively early if possible. Just tell me what your thoughts are. We did approve, I believe, it's my understanding, just a reminder that the 8th grade field trip to Washington is on November 6th, 7th, and 8th. Okay, just want to make sure. We also are going to have State Trooper Robert Tarlington in to discuss security with our staff at our meeting on the 6th of September. We don't generally talk about details relative to security at public meetings. That's either an executive session or among staff members. But it is important that people know that state troopers are coming in just to give us some of their thoughts on security, and that will happen on the 6th. The language arts curriculum during our upcoming staff members, our kindergarten through grade 4 staff, will be receiving additional training on our new ELL curriculum, Collaborative Classroom. And that's, there's 2 basic concepts there, which is being a reader and being a writer. And from what I know, and very little experience with it personally, but it's a very good choice. And it was a collaborative choice, as I understand it, with the staff and the board was knowledgeable about that. I also wanted to mention that Kurt Walton received an email from Jesse Trail, who was a Frankfurt parent who works for the Secret Service, and part of his assignment is the Child Smart program. This program provides presentations and other materials to help students on how to stay safe online and offline. Mr. Trail is a National Center for Exploited and Missing Children ambassador and speaks with local schools about internet safety and the exploitation prevention measures. The presentation lasts between 30 and 45 minutes, and there are presentations for K2, 3-5, 6-8, and high school, which doesn't directly affect us, obviously. Spoke to Mr. Trail on Thursday, and again this morning he was at our kindergarten orientation, and I'd like to move forward with this. It would be a parent meeting and then student meetings. certainly the 6th through 8th, and maybe even lower, but we'll be talking about this, but we'd like to move forward on this. And trying to figure out the best time. I always say these programs are better sooner than later, just so nothing happens in the meantime. And we do our best to let the students know. There's also another very interesting program that we're looking at, which is the New Jersey Statewide Student Support Services, the NJ4S. Fully funded, provides much-needed prevention and mental health services for students and their families throughout our schools and communities to address youth mental health crisis affecting Sussex County and all of New Jersey. The hub that we would be associated with is the Morris and Sussex Hub. And this group has staffed preventive specialists and licensed clinicians to deliver these services. And I did attend a remote seminar on this subject and got just a basic idea about it. We'll be meeting with those folks, so I'll keep you posted about this program. But it's free, it's a multi-million-dollar program, and it's really designed to help families that are in crisis deal with whatever that crisis happens to be. And I think that's really great. The Subaru Loves Learning program, Frankfort Township will again be receiving the grant from the Subaru of Newton. And my understanding is 6 teachers have received $500 each, and those dollars are earmarked for Things for Kids. And I believe, Mrs. Stark, you were involved with that last year, is that correct?
I'd love to say yes.
Okay,
But speaking with Kurt about it earlier today.
Okay.
And fortunately, in connection with Mr. Dexter and Subaru dealership, it was nice that we were able to get our names put in, take advantage of it. And yeah, as you stated, 6 teachers are receiving, I think, a $500
That's
credit.
right.
Yeah, it was a nice thing to come across.
I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of that, okay?
Do you have to drive a Subaru to?
No, you don't. No, you do not. So, our orientation programs today, we got a pre-K and a kindergarten orientation program, and we had excellent participation, and we think the program went well. The Chromebook distribution, one of the things that we'll be dealing with tonight is the policy relative to the Chromebooks and the insurance. And we spent several days, hours, working on exactly what the wording should be. Just tweak the wording a little bit to make sure it was consistent. But the bottom line is that the board has been dealing with this for several months. The program is a mandatory program, and the first accidental breakage basically is free. And then second, third, there's a tiered system of family support, but it's a $25 program, and it is a pool program. And what that suggests is that the money is put into a pool. We're connected to an insurance company, as I understand it, but it's a pool program, and we would pay for items through that pool initially. And that's how that will ultimately work. And the money that we collected will go back into that pool, and we'll see how that goes. But it is the board, if I understand it correctly, has mentioned that this will be a mandated program. We're also working on wording, and the letter is going to go out tomorrow after approval tonight, just giving the parents the information about the insurance program. We want to make sure this is approved 2 readings before we did that, and we're ready to go with that tomorrow morning. So, that I just asked if there's any questions or comments about this. And I usually, like I said, I do give you a written copy. This is just for your records, because when you're going over a number of things, it gets, it mix up very quickly. So I would give you handwritten copies. Okay.
Do we need to do a thank you note for Subaru?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you, no.
I'm bringing him, Mr. Dexter, I've asked for him to come back to school night.
Oh, perfect,
As well as when we have, a new staff orientation, or when school
Okay.
reopens with the staff. and service days, he's gonna come and just say hello and thank for this opportunity both ways. He's very appreciative of the communication that's taking place.
Perfect, okay.
And yes, you do have to drive a Subaru.
If I have a question about the protection plan, do you wanna talk about that now or when we get to the
Agenda.
agenda,
Let's see.
where it's on
Once
the
we-
agenda?
Yeah, so once we get to the
On the agenda, right? Okay.
Yeah, thanks. I too, it's been a whirlwind a little bit, but it's been very fun to come back to school here. When Mr. Hirsch did reach out to me a little bit early on, he asked me if I was of interest here. I said simply yes. That was before he told me he was resigning. But I did say yes, and I said partly because I'm a taxpayer at High Point. My kids went through Sussex Wantage, but some of my children's best friends came from this school. And correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, my son's basketball team was all Frankfurt and him. And, so I've always had just a tremendous amount of respect, and I've known Braden for a lot of years. And in the first 2 weeks I was here, you're running all the summer activities, and I'm looking at the staff, and I'm saying, why aren't they looking tired? Why aren't they looking frustrated? Ready to get out? They were excited about continually being working with kids, and I often when I interview people, I look at for what they ask me. I want to see those type of questions. I've heard all the answers. That staff showed me a lot in just that short period of time that it's exactly what I've heard. And it was reiterated in the interviews that we had for the 3 math jobs. And I want to introduce one of them to you tonight. But before I introduce Melissa, you already met Nicole, I think, last meeting. And I think things happen for a reason. And Nicole obviously had a family, and then when she wanted to come back in the classroom, this job opened up. And we're lucky, and the 3 people you have coming in, when you're looking for math teachers, it's not as hard as a consumer science teacher, but it is. But you're sometimes just hoping. Well, we're very fortunate that your reputation and the community spoke for itself. Christina is a teacher from that got riffed at Vernon. Was told that her job was being cut, and so she ends up here, and she is excited. What a great opportunity for her. She knows the community. She's the one who's not here tonight, but she's extremely excited. She graduated from Montclair State University, and the words that she kept talking about when we sat down, she goes, I just want to continue to try to engage the students and get everybody collaboratively learning together. And that resonated with me. And to know that she's got this opportunity, I'm very confident. And again, just as I'm going to say with Melissa, the thumbs up that we got from the other superintendents was, very disappointed that they were leaving. Melissa's a different opportunity. Door opened up. Melissa, you want to just stand and say hello?
I'm Melissa Daly.
Hello,
I'm a math teacher next to me at Reading, and I am very excited to be here as well as the other teachers as well. So, thank you.
Melissa went to Centenary University and graduated. She lives right up here in Sanderson, so she cut her drive in half. She has a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old child. But when she interviewed, it was great because at one point in the interview she goes, I want to be around in an environment that wants to teach. I want to teach. And she just felt she was pigeonholed a little bit the other school, great school, but she just had this opportunity here. And we both, when Braden was there, we both said, you got that opportunity to run. And she's been in the classroom numerous times already. And they actually all came and volunteered to meet with Kate Dowling. Again, another example of somebody taking time out of their day, a couple different days, to correspond as well as Jamie Wolf, Matt, and just to kind of meet with the teachers. And they met on Eureka Math because that's a new program for them. And they don't need the training. They got the training from Kate. And let me tell you what, that's a very good training.
Yeah, she was great.
She was great. And that's just an indicator of the school here. So those are Melissa and Christina and Nicole are your new math teachers. Cheryl Steiger is somebody that you do know. She's very fortunate that her certificate allows her to teach consumer science, and she's got a background in it. So we're fortunate there, and she'll be coming as a part-time teacher. And basically, it's been a little bit of a whirlwind, but I appreciate it. And Amy and Braden were both absolutely super. And I also want to do a little call out to Jamie Wolf and Matt Storch, who've come in and indoctrinated me a little bit with the Frankfurt way. In a good way, I'm joking. But thank you, it's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to add, if you're aware, I wanted to mention this, but this is a good time. One of the things I noticed about the staff already, and we even haven't even had our first meeting, is the dedication. Teams are coming in, all members of the teams helping each other out. We had I think all the grade levels in the elementary division. I'm sure same thing in the middle school division. Just coming in, spending a day or two, just getting ready, long before the first opportunity. So it's really great, and they had an opportunity to come in and talk about the district and how proud they are of the district. So I think there's a lot of good things going on here, and it's really very.
And Mr. Mooney's new secretary, Victoria Pace. We're really
Brilliant.
fortunate there, and we
Brilliant.
met Carrie Adams for the bus meeting today, the new nurse,
Yeah.
12 years of experience, wanting to come here from Sparta. Wanted to come, so again,
Good
she
stuff.
did physicals all day today. So that's it, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mr. Walton. Can I get a motion to open public comment? First one,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Public comment is open. Do we have a list somewhere in the back? Someone's-
It doesn't seem that anything's on
Nobody's on it.
currently.
So no public comment. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Guess that up.
Sorry.
Sure,
I
no,
didn't
no.
sign up. But
go ahead.
I just want to extend a thank you to Mr. Mooney, Mr. Walton, for staff starting a year with a completely new administration, interim to boot, a new administrative assistant to the chief school administrator. It can be daunting, so many what ifs, uncertainties. And I just really want to express gratitude to both of you, because your communication line just flew way over. And I just kind of feel like we've got this very collaborative working relationship already in place. And we couldn't ask for something better. And so thank you again, welcome, and we're glad to have you both here.
Thanks, Al.
Thanks.
Anybody else? I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment is closed. Board committee sections, communications and public relations.
Public meeting, okay. Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to review some of the activities in the month of September. Our first day of school is the 7th for students. The high school, High Point High School, has the 9th grade welcome on the 14th. Back to school night for the elementary division is the 19th. Back to school for the middle school is on the 20th. And back to school night at the high school is on the 23rd. School pictures are on the 22nd, and our next Board of Education meeting is on the 25th.
Okay, policy?
Policy, I just, that, you want me to talk about this?
I can introduce this.
Okay,
So we discussed this a couple times in the spring. We originally introduced the policy in June, but we've revised it. A lot of the tweaks, as Bob was saying, to make sure that the policy is consistent with the application and how the program works. So a copy of the policy, the final version, is in the packet, starts on page 28. The basics of the program are, it's for grades 5 through 6. We've got new computers for all 4 of those grades, new Chromebooks that will be going home with the students, but we had our experience with Chromebooks going home over the past few years has been, they're getting significantly damaged, and we've been spending a lot of money repairing them. So we're putting in place this insurance policy, which has a $25 damage waiver fee. It's put in as mandatory. However, it's mandatory except for if you qualify for free and reduced lunch. You still have to sign up for it, but you don't have to pay the waiver fee, the $25. Damages are still a cost that's charged based on the tiered system. Just to summarize it, the first accidental damage is no cost. The second one is $50. Third one is $100. If it's intentional destruction of the thing, of the unit, then it's full replacement cost of it. But as I mentioned, we've spent many thousands of dollars repairing them in the past, over each of the past few years. So we felt we had to put something in place for this. But I know we met, Bob, myself, Kurt, Daryl, there's another person in there too.
Victoria.
Victoria in there, we went over this policy several times. So we're trying to get it as smooth as possible and clarify the wording. As Bob said, a notice will be going out tomorrow, but with that said, certainly open up to any questions you have on the policies, policy workings and
I do.
how that is.
Is the policy just for the middle school? Because I remember when we were talking way back when Braden, I'm pretty sure had said that the Chromebooks that the middle school had was gonna go to that elementary side, and then it was just gonna be for the middle school kids that were paying the
Yes, so
deposit.
it's intended for any devices that are being sent home, so this will include iPads as well, we have just a handful of them. That's still being worked out at this point, but right now the initial purpose is for the Chromebooks.
Okay.
Cause those are obviously gonna get the most exposure for that night.
Can you clarify again, the $25 is covering what sort of damage or what sort of problems?
So what, the $25, so you know, you have, what's it, 260 Chromebooks, whichever, it goes into a pool that's managed through One-to-One School Solutions, they're the insurance company that manages it. Whenever we have a repair, we will contact them to get the reimbursement for the costs to get it repaired. So we will send the computer out, we'll inspect it, send it out, and they will reimburse us from the pool of money that comes from all of the waivers. So that's that, like,
Except for the things where it's intentional damage or.
yeah, so
So
it'll
what
be
are
inspected.
the things that are not those other things you said, intentional damage and.
Some of the bigger ones
So
are,
it's just like functionality.
no, it could be if it's
No,
knocked off
okay.
of the table or something, you know, just
Okay,
banged
so like
up,
an
that's
accidental.
an accidental damage, but
Okay.
we've had some that are literally
Yeah.
break them right open.
Like the screen stopped through.
Yeah, so obviously it's gonna require inspection to see how it looks.
Just to add to that, the board did also purchase like a protective covering. So that help if it does drop or some of those things that we know that are gonna happen, it will definitely help with that.
Yeah, we got brand new, pretty durable shock-proof cases.
We'll find out.
Find out.
Um,
Look good.
Learn it after the first few days.
Sorry, I have a couple more questions. So, speaking about the wording, so personally, I was a little confused with the wording, especially on page 31 under school district device protection plan, so the bottom left corner of page 31. So the first statement says the mandatory school district protection plan is provided, blah, 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 blah. Then the next sentence says the damage protection waiver. I felt like that was confusing to me personally, maybe it's just me, that it's referred to as a plan and then the waiver. Like I personally couldn't make that. I mean, I could assume the leap, but I wasn't sure of that leap between it being called a plan in the first statement and then the second statement, essentially the same thing being called a waiver, is that right?
The waiver
Is
fee,
part of,
yeah, the plan includes the waiver fee, the plan is just, this is the plan for repairing
school.
the computers, the insurance plan itself, but the waiver is the waiver fee, the $25 waiver fee. Try to make
yeah,
this
no, I
consistent.
get that, I don't know, to me, it was a little confusing, the mandatory school district protection plan is provided for students and parents. It's the mandatory plan, the damage protection, maybe, I don't know, I guess I want the word like plan waiver in there or something,
The
I don't-
damage protection plan includes we'll have a waiver, I don't know.
Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know, I found it just a little bit confusing, just saying, you don't have to change it. And then a quick question, so after, parents have to pay this every year. So at the end of the year, is that money just forfeited to the company as,
No, it just stays in the pool, but,
oh, it stays in
Yeah,
the,
they
so like
estimated-
Frankfurt will build a pool over years?
yeah,
Or
you
no?
know, how it was worked out when I worked with the insurance company, they asked how many computers we have. And I gave them history of repairs, so they estimate what you should use for a waiver fee to try and cover the repairs that you expect to have over the course of the year. Now, hopefully, with the waiver, we'll have less damage, and if that's the case, we could adjust the fee in subsequent years. So the way the policy is written, it's initially a $25 fee, but it also mentions in here that it will be, reviewed each year.
Annually.
Okay, but essentially,
But is
like
that
if we don't
pool-
use all of that pool, it just goes to that company as like income to them.
No, it'll stay as our,
It'll stay, okay.
they take
Carries
a
over.
$3 fee per waiver
Okay,
per policy that it's purchased, their admin fee is $3.
Okay.
So then the rest goes to the pool for repairs.
and I'm not saying this will happen, but who knows, just can we max out, so what if we max out our waiver pool of money
There's no
in
max,
damages?
yeah, it's
So there's not, so,
there's no
okay,
max.
so, okay.
maximum.
And just to clarify, because I know I spoke to Chris directly, but just so some people might be aware, if a parent chooses not to pay, or they say, I don't wanna do this is crazy, or if they just don't do it, now is that going to prevent teachers from having like lesson plans that involve technology and computers, or will those students still be given a device during the day and they just won't take it home? And I was told that they would be given one during the day, but they would not be allowed to take it home, and they'll have like a provisional amount of time, correct?
That is the plan that we've discussed. So you wanna comment? You want me to-
No, I don't want.
Sorry.
Because there's a bunch of the questions, oh, trust me. Yeah, we definitely we're making amends to provide it loan.
Okay,
Because technically the way that policy reads, the first day you're in class, you don't receive your device unless it's already been, the mandatory payment's been received, as well as the pledge signed, which we're gonna do electronically, that part you can see in the letter tomorrow, so that should help with that point. So you don't get it, and I said, well, we're not gonna do that, so you will have a loaner or a device in class. It's not to go home at this point. I'm not so sure whether, down the road that might change right now, but the one they'll have, the loaner, is what Daryl was able to take from the pool from the last, the Chromebooks that we've received, which if I heard correctly, at one point you paid over $10,000 for repairs in the first semester last year. So that's why that pool kind of will benefit that hopefully in the long run. But yeah, right now each student will have a loaner available to them in class. We did say that if a kid has to take it for an assignment, which they often will, it's signed out and they take responsibility when they take it home, because now it's their device to take home for the night.
So you'll be able to pay online for this before school, or you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, through the insurance company itself.
Oh, okay, so it's just like tech, okay. Do you
They'll
think,
give us an update as to who's, the roster of who's been paid up and who's not, will be updated every day.
and this is gonna be 5th through 8th?
Yes.
Correct.
would it be a full day loaner or a per class loaner?
We have, right now pending the amount of people that we might be running into, we're hoping that each classroom will have like 5
Okay.
each or something like
Yeah.
that, so, or 3, 5 each. Pending numbers, it might change, but that's our hope, so they don't have to travel from classroom to classroom.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like the strain of, it's gonna sound silly, but like the strain on the teacher to have to like
Okay.
hand that out and then
Correct.
collect that at the end of the day and be accountable for it, so
Correct.
that's a
Correct.
lot to.
I think we'll be measuring that as we go along to see
Yeah.
what makes sense. Sometimes you don't know exactly how these things are gonna shake out.
Part of the discussion though with Mr. Mooney and us was to make sure that, we want that opening days to be about, trusting and getting a chance sitting down and not have to worry about, where's this, where's that, but.
I got one
Great.
question. Let him go first.
I was just gonna say,
Thank you.
just speaking at the high school level, one of the biggest problems we had is the charging of the Chromebooks, they would come dead. So is there any kind of charging stations or the ability for someone to charge? Cause I'm just, maybe middle school is better than high school, but they come dead very frequently to the high school and we don't have the ability to charge them, so I don't
I mean,
know.
we've had, the middle school has had Chromebooks for the past few
Okay.
years. I haven't looked at where, I know I've spent a lot of money on charging stations and the wall racks, but I would have to check with Daryl, I'm sure.
I'm pretty
Probably
sure-
have
There's 3 racks that are still available from what I understand out there, but as one teacher told me today, we are totally familiar with students not having their devices charged. So they make it work, but there's not a lot of extra outlets but they've had that for years, so part of it again goes back to the responsibility of
Right.
stewardship of having it, so.
And one question, because I know like when I just did it for high school at Tech, when I did the insurance, like you can't do the insurance till you get the Chromebook because the insurance policy asks for the serial number of
Already
that.
took care of it.
So
This one.
it'll be each student will already be assigned a serial number when they do the policy.
Their charger, we've already labeled as coded
Okay,
everything.
so that letter coming home will be to each individual family with their information on it.
But when they sign out their computer, they'll have a barcode on it, and that will get logged with the student into the database. So it's logging that they've purchased insurance, but we have the insurance company does not keep track of the serial number, we keep
Okay.
track of the serial numbers
Okay, got
that are
it.
signed.
If a family does not have a credit card, can they pay the school with cash and the school can somehow cover that?
we'll be able to
I
work
know
that
that's like a
out.
what if
I had asked
situation, but
that,
it
but
doesn't
we didn't
apply
have
to
a long discussion about it, but we can make whatever we need to work, for that matter.
Okay.
Which kind of brings me up, so we also discussed how the distribution is, because since we're retiring the older computers, the older laptops, or Chromebooks, which will be moved down to the elementary school. Each year, some of those are reaching end of life with Google, so they're not gonna be updated. So what the plan is, these new computers stay with those kids through, 5th graders will have this same laptop or Chromebook through 8th grade. 8th graders, when they leave, those computers will be moved down to the elementary grade, so that way there's always computers being filtered down to the elementary, and then we're always gonna get, each year, each incoming group of 5th graders will get a new Chromebook. So that way it's their unit, they're responsible for it, they're not gonna be responsible for damage someone else did on a different unit, so we're trying to keep things fresher, and that way it's more of a cycle where it's just a regular budgetary item versus buying a whole lot of computers every 3 years and then the budget fluctuates, so it accomplishes a few things, but the biggest one is kids have a new unit, it's up to them to take care of it, as well as that creates a cycle to filter through the lower
We
grades.
did add every 3 to 4 weeks, the staff, I'm talking to some of the staff there, I'm gonna send out an email, just having them just do a walk around, just check the units, see how they're holding up, and if someone's got, if something's already broken or whatever, we'll try to be a little bit more proactive with that, so it doesn't get to the point where, it's, pick it up and it's falling apart, that shouldn't happen, but, so we're gonna try to oversee it a little bit there, and again, going back to Kate's question about teachers, we don't wanna be bogging them down, but, I think also at the same time, just kinda letting that sends a message to the kids that, hey, this is something that you should respect, and we're trusting you with it, so we're just gonna kinda come around and check it and make sure hopefully it's.
Can we ask a question or no?
Sure.
Thanks, Ray. According to my calculations, it's about $6,200 that, 250 students times 25. So $6,250 that we're paying to the insurance company.
They're holding it.
They're holding it, okay, so if we go, I know somebody mentioned here, I don't know if it's Kurt or somebody, that there was over 10,000 in the first semester. If we go above that $6,250 at no additional fee, the insurance company covers everything?
No, we would cover the difference.
Oh, so we can max out.
We can max out, we would just be, the estimate was based on averages, so the hope is that it's going to come down. The costs are gonna come down because we will be more being responsible for the repair, so if the thing is completely destroyed, like deliberately destroyed, or it's stolen, you have to fill out a police report and file it in there. I think it includes one replacement, in the case of theft. A second one or deliberate damages, then the parents are responsible for replacing the unit, which is about $400 for a Chromebook. So the hope is that it's gonna drive down the cost itself. I didn't wanna bump the waiver way up, I just wanted to be on what we thought would be a good average to cover the year.
Well, these are all new devices, whereas
Right.
last year, those were all
Yeah.
devices that were already pretty beaten up, so.
So it really isn't an insurance policy that they're buying, because they get free for the first one, and then the second time it
Free
happens,
repair,
they're
yeah.
paying 50, then 100.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so
that's what
it's subsidized, so it's
Okay.
not going to be, we're not,
Is that
all of the
clear in
repairs
the
are
letter?
gonna be
Is that clear?
That's a good question.
Because I could think if I'm signing something as a parent and I'm spending $25 and it's called an insurance policy, I'm thinking, okay, I'm covered.
it's a damage waiver, so you're buying the opportunity to spend less on the
Yeah, it does
repairs.
the additional replacements will cost the student, parent, guardian the full value. So it does.
In our draft correspondence going out tomorrow, we use the word tiered response to second and third. We didn't mention the exact price, we could talk about whether we should, but we did mention that subsequent damage would be tiered, which means the parents would pay, depending on the number of times.
And in the sign off part, the pledge, it's a little more specific, it
Yeah.
reiterates again, it's the tiers and the cost.
Yeah, I think it's important to have the cost, especially like if I'm reading it, I would say if it doesn't have a tier, they can kind of argue back and forth with you. If it says, it's stated right in there, this is what it's gonna cost,
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we talked about that today, and we can certainly do that, because that makes sense. That we would say, just by way of example, first would be 50, second would be
Right.
100, we could do that.
I think that's a good idea.
We could add that.
So in reality, the insurance company really isn't offering anything other than the administration.
Essentially, yeah, they administer it.
How come we can't administer our own money? That's not allowed? Is there
Well,
conflict
it's.
there?
I'm not
Self-insuring, and we discussed that too, actually, whether we could self-insure. In some areas, public education is not allowed to self-insure. You know, for example, health benefits, you're not allowed to do that because it could have negative impact on the instructional process for the kids, for the students. But we discussed that. I suspect, and I think Chris and Kurt agreed that we could, but we are where we are on this. It is, I think it's good to have an insurance company who knows his business, who put together the formula and planned this all out. I do think it's a good idea. I don't think we would be banned from doing that. My guess is it would probably not be a problem. I don't think it'd be a violation of self-insured guidelines. I don't think so.
So if we wanted to, we could try this out for this year and then next year, and we can reevaluate this, and then if we wanna do the self-insured our own way, we could do that.
And if we were considering self-insured, I would check that out.
Yeah,
We're down this road a little bit here, but my guess is that we could. Because when we have, if it goes way over, somehow we have to keep those machines running. The other thing is the cost of the repairs go back into the pot too. I mean, that's money. So if a student pays $50, for example, we'd have that money, right? I mean, that would be part of the process. So that would increase as the year rolls on. It would increase the number you mentioned. At least it would appear to. Okay.
So like when a repair is necessary, and if it's the second repair, or one of the subsequent repairs that has a fee, that gets paid through One-to-One School Solutions, the
Right.
company that administers the program. And they'll keep us up to date on who has paid, who hasn't. Doing it self-insuring, I don't think would save a lot of money. However, what it does do is it requires someone to be monitoring this constantly, whereas the insurance company's gonna do all the monitoring, they'll give us updates, so.
That's all part of
Well,
it.
too, how many repairs are $25?
Right.
You know, I would be upset if I paid my $25 into our self-insured policy, and then my kid breaks hers in March, and you're like, oh, sorry, we don't have any money left. You know, so you owe us $400 for a new machine, and I'm like, well, I opted
Well, I don't
into
think the
that
district could do
25, like
No.
that's,
We couldn't do
Yeah.
that.
I don't think
yeah, I
that.
don't think you can do that.
We wouldn't do that. I would certainly recommend it. We not do that.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this? Do you have any update for curriculum?
I do actually.
Okay.
The one thing I just want to mention is the curriculum documents that the board is going to be acting on today have been approved last year. There's one document that is still to be finished, and that has to do with the K-4 curriculum related to the collaborative classroom. Because we should have that to the board in September. But that's not, all the other curricular guides there have been approved in the past, and they are approved. So, and they're timely. Now, there's a 5-year deal with the state about redoing curriculum and all. So that's just an update on that.
Thank you. I've already discussed the Chromebook distribution plan, so I'll take over for the finance right now. Just for a summer update, Brian Bransford just wanted to give you the updates there. As you know, we waxed all the floors, cleaned all the classrooms. The major items that are most noticeable, aside from having cleaned the space, is we removed the child study team trailer in the courtyard and the stage. In my opinion, it looks so much better. I'm sure all of the teachers on A wing will appreciate having a view now. So that's been removed. We were approved for the direct install program for the boilers. They're expected to start within the next 4 weeks. They're gonna be working on the 2 boilers at the end of at the corner of A and B wing. That's going to be, I think it's getting replaced with 4 or 6 small boilers. I can't remember the exact number right now. they're gonna do those first, so that way if there's a delay in the second phase, which is when they remove the boiler at the far end of the building or the further end, that it's okay. What's gonna happen once the second boiler is moved, that's down in C wing, we're gonna take the hot water tank that's hanging above the stage right now, and that's gonna be moved over to that boiler room, so that way, you know, the tank's been up there for a very long time, but we've had to replace it twice from leaks. So that'll alleviate that whole problem and will be a lot more efficient, so just good news has been updated, and move on from there. Other item of update, we have the memorandum of agreement between the school and law enforcement. This is a pretty standard document that's the state puts out. It has to be signed by the school as well as the state police over our jurisdiction. So that's, I emailed that to you all if you want to read it. But that's going to be approved tonight. Pay Schools Online, that system is going to replace the old payment system for the school lunch program. I have a little bit more tweaking to do, and I'll be sending out a communication later today. It'll be a different link than the one folks have been using for making lunch payments. It's still going to be linked to your child's account, get the account balances and everything. So when you send them through there, it'll still take credit card, debit card payments. It's essentially the same, but it's just through a new processor through Pay Schools. Next item I have is the 23-24 wellness program. I'm still waiting for the official approval from the school's health insurance fund, although I expect it to be coming in later this week. Unfortunately, last year, 3 of the instructors I had for fitness programs departed from Frankfurt. I was able to work with the person who did our yoga before. She's going to come back in and do 2 different classes. She's going to be doing a Pilates type class as well as a yoga fusion. Can't remember the name of it. She's going to be starting to do that on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm still looking for. I have a little bit of money planned in the grant for anyone who's interested in doing another type of fitness activity. I was approached once by Brendan Post. We'll talk some more if we're able to work something out, but I did try to put some money in there in case we have others that are interested in doing it. If I can, I like to offer it to staff that are interested in doing this type of program. But this is to enhance or a supplement to our health benefits. It's something to help keep people healthy lifestyles and hopefully have fewer health insurance claims. So more news to come, but otherwise, once I get the final answer or the final news at the faculty meeting, I'll give the rollout of the whole program. And otherwise, most of the other programs are pretty much simple, which is gym membership subsidy, partial subsidy. We have Weight Watchers program, as well as fees covered for any fitness type events, competitive events. Anything we can to try and get people moving. So, we've been able to keep this going for about 10 years at this point, and I'm pretty happy for that, but always looking for ways to tweak it and make it better. So, definitely appreciate it and being able to provide this to the school. That's all I have at this point.
School safety and climate, guess we had a fire drill to be announced week of September 11th, and a lockdown drill to be announced week of September 11th also.
There's a day you have to have those toward the school, that's what it is.
Okay. Personnel.
We're basically fully staffed, and we do have one staff member who's going to be going out for surgery. We never mentioned the name on that, but we're just deciding exactly how to cover that one. It'll be just an absence, not a leave. And other than that, we're basically fully staffed, and we'll be meeting some of our new staff members officially on the 6th.
Chris, do you know how long the executive session will be about? So give them a heads up.
I don't know how much you get on. I'm assuming probably about 20 minutes.
Okay. We're going to go into an executive session. We assume it's going to be about 20 minutes long, after which we can come back. Thank you. Motion to go in?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in executive.
Sure, why not?
Yep, that's right.
Move on to the consent agenda items. The following items are matters of routine business and will be voted on by one motion, 3 through 34. And Chris, can you call roll call vote?
We have,
Is there something
I'll
else?
have the motion in a second.
Oh,
Motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call will be, Kate Adam,
Yes, abstain from 7 and 8. I was not here for this.
Jamie Armando,
Yes.
Chris Dexter,
Abstain.
okay, Caitlin Fredo,
Yes, but I have to abstain from the meeting minutes,
so that would be
7 and 8.
for number 7 and 8, okay. Okay, Mandy Jeffs,
Abstain from 3, 4, and 8.
just for a reminder,
Yes.
Jennifer Nous,
Yes, but I have to abstain from 8.
John Tiger,
Can I ask a question? For tuition course reimbursement? Is that when you do that, or is there a contract between that? Like, hey, we'll pay for this, but you have to stay with us for so many.
so how it works is, and this is in the policy and in the contract with the union, is there's so much money, you're allowed up to 9 credits per year for reimbursement. If you leave within so many years, you have to reimburse a portion of the coursework. So the idea is if you're here for more than 2 years, there's no reimbursement required, but it's tiered as time passes on.
Alright, so like it's 2 years after they've already completed their credits. They've gotten.
Or if they finish their credits, they got reimbursed for it, then the time goes on.
Alright. I'm gonna say yes, but I'm gonna say no to 10.
Leif Anderson,
I'm gonna abstain from 6 and a no to 10.
okay, and Ray Castellani.
yes.
Okay. Motions pass. Brings us to the regular agenda. I added in the motion regarding the National Junior Honor Society, is listed as resolution number 35, which has already been voted on. That brings us to public comments.
Wait, can I ask a really quick question about that, but really quickly? Leif and John, did you guys say no or abstain?
We
For
said no.
10?
No,
You said no,
it's a-
okay, so. Motion to go public comment?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone with us?
I'm the only one who is.
Go ahead, you go ahead, I'll add my name.
My only comment was the new pay schools for the lunch account. I went on to put lunch money for my kids. Split between the two of them, I put $165 on because usually there's an administrative fee with the old one. That usually was $2. So when you can put on as much as you want and it's $2. And this one just charged me for convenience fees, $7.42, which was not.
It's now, yeah, it's the credit card fee now. Before, the other one was a flat fee. However, it also had an issue with a lot of people putting on $3, $4, $5 at a time, and getting the $2 fees. But the system's up and running, but I haven't sent the announcements out on how it works, so.
It was a pain.
I'll send information.
It took me a long time. There was a lot of steps to register. So it was cumbersome and I was really unhappy to see a $7 fee for putting my kids' lunch money.
It's gonna be a percentage of the total.
Can you still send in a check?
Is that every time?
You can still send in checks, yeah.
So if
You can still pay through the cafeteria.
I've never done that, so I don't particularly love the idea of giving my kids a large check. Can that be dropped off?
Yeah, I mean, that's possible, definitely. At
Mail
different
it.
office.
So when that information goes out about this new process or whatever, can we also put in there how to pay with cash or a check and
Yeah.
who that should be paid to and who it should be directed to, attention to at the school?
Can you pay cash daily for your lunch? Like I can put $3.75 in a baggie and she could just hand that in instead of typing in her code?
Yeah, totally. Well, you still have to type in the code, but you'll, the code
That's
is
what
also.
she's getting, I'm not using that at all.
The code processes for meal planning as well, so
Yeah,
we
no
can
more
keep
Four
track
Birds
of all the
Krispy
meals
treats.
that are sold.
And we'll see that.
Thanks, Lara.
Yeah, ice cream sandwich, Rice Krispie treat, yeah.
I know, yes. Okay. Lauren?
I just wanted to say, welcome to Chris to the board. Glad you're part of us, part of the school. And to tell Kurt and Mr. Mooney, thank you so much. So far, everything seems to be really going smoothly. I know we're working on the physicals. I appreciate your help there as well.
Field
So,
hockey official now, right?
yeah, and one field hockey official on 28th, I think we're short, so, but thank you. I did have one question. Was there any discussion or any change to what kids will be paying for class trips or field trips in terms of busing? Is
So,
anything?
yeah, that was discussed in June, of course, we had a really big group there, but this year, the busing, the nurses, all of those items are being funded by the class, so it's not, we had to trim the budget a lot. And that was one of the items that we had to put into there, so the cost for the bus and the nurse, if one is necessary, will be part of the class fee for the field trip. So I
Okay.
know it's not popular,
Parents pay.
but the parents, that'll be part of the fee collected from each of the,
But now,
each of the
didn't we
families.
say something that if the parents couldn't afford to pay, we were gonna do something?
There is, but it's based on whether you're eligible for free and reduced lunch,
Okay.
so.
And that doesn't affect like clubs or sports?
The sports, it does not affect the sports, it affects the clubs though.
So like ski club, those kids
Ski
would
club
have to
would
pay
affect
for their
ski club.
transportation?
Yes, yeah.
Is it fair to tack the nurse on though? Because like then if you have a child with epilepsy in your grade level, parents know that child has epilepsy, for example, then there's like a piece of like now our field trip's happening more because Sally needs a nurse.
No, to leave the building it doesn't matter what, you have to have a nurse with you. So whether there's peanut allergies, no medical history, you need a nurse present for any. So it's for all the kids, not just for someone with.
But it does include the nurse, I mean, the nurse is usually like $135 cost for the day, would be the cost of the sub for the day, but it's part of the cost of the field trip, so. And that's when the key is submit the field trip forms are supposed to come in up to 60 days beforehand, so that we can calculate transportation costs, see what the nurse cost is going to be, as well as then give you time to put communication out to the class parents, for collection of it, but, for several years we had it, but, you know, as you know,
You don't have
literally
the
the
money.
budgets are being factored by taking $5,000 out here, $3,000 out there, all the way across the board, so it's trying to trim this and we tried to hold this off as long as we possibly could, but,
What about something like our little buddies trip where we go to the park? So we use the school buses here, are we gonna be billed for that?
no, those ones, the ones that are within Frankfurt, which I've always set up years and years ago, if it's within Frankfurt, I don't put any cost, we cover the cost, cause usually we don't need subs. We can have Diane Bittiger usually can drive it, or one of our other drivers. We have a custodian who's also a driver, so she's got time. We don't charge anything, I only charge for mileage, and if it's going outside of Frankfurt, as well as if we need to hire a sub for it. So, but inside the town boundaries, there's no charge there.
And for ski,
Yes.
ski club, we've always paid, we had an agreement that each student paid $25 towards the cost of busing. And the way Mountain Creek does it now is we start in September, as soon as we get back, I'm gonna have to send out the paperwork. But I won't know what the costs are until I know the number of students. So how's that going to work?
I mean, we've got, essentially, it's the same number of buses, so we have the cost unless you're expecting a larger group, we would have to reassess it, but you'd want to give a deadline for signups that gives us enough time to give you time to.
Right, so if we take 2 buses, I have to calculate what it would be. If we had, like last year, we had 50-some kids, so I would divide it by that, it's gonna be, What happens if I use a number to get it going and we're a lot higher or a lot less? What happens then?
I mean, if you're a lot higher or less, the money would sit in your ski club account if you raise more than is necessary. So we let you know what the cost of the transportation is, you do the calculations to present to the parents. If you're collecting more or less, it's either you have the option if you wanna reimburse everyone a slight amount for it, if you get more signups, but the cost is the cost, it's just as the advisor, it's how you're dividing it up amongst the participants.
And what if I anticipate 50 students, but because of increased costs, there's just only 35 sign up? And I have to go back to the 35 and get more money?
What you would wanna do is estimate it, I would suggest you just estimate it on the safe side, and then if it's an adjustment to get money back is what I would recommend you do.
So
But
estimate
that's up to you to figure out.
The fine print of how many minimum, maximum.
Tell them it's a
What is the
balloon
average
estimate.
for like a school, what is the cost for a school nurse? Is it based upon like an hour, how do
Our nurses now actually, a sub nurse is about 230 a day, I think it is, 30 to 40.
I think they raised it to 250. I think we raised it to
It's
250 last year.
550 now, yeah. It used to be 135 and then it jumped up 2 years ago.
Because we couldn't get subs and you can't have the building open
Yeah,
without it, so
no.
we raised it to 250.
And buses, how is busing costs, how are those determined?
Busing costs?
Yeah.
It's a rate per mile, and this is, really, it was based on this when the gas prices were getting almost $4 a gallon, which are pretty much the same price. The gas prices have actually not changed that much in the past 10 years. They spiked to $4 and then they've just been fluctuating up and down between 3 and 4 for a long time. But it's based on a price per mile, I think it's $1 per mile. Yeah, buses only get barely 8 miles per gallon, so the big buses, they drink a lot of diesel fuel. And then it's the rate for the driver. So it's the two items that are calculated.
And the driver is hourly?
Unless we have to hire it out, then it's the actual cost of the, that we get charged by the bus company.
And the driver's hourly?
Our drivers are hourly. If we have to quote it out to a bus company, then it's the exact cost that the bus company quotes us for it. So, that we put it out to all the bus companies for quotes, and then the one that's got the best rate gets the trip.
And then the hourly rate that we're paying, if one driver has a lot more experience than another, you're paying that increase?
And for whichever driver we're able to.
Or are you a driver?
I should get my license, I don't, I hadn't field log and everything else.
I know, you drive a boat?
You have your boat license?
Isn't that all
Pretty
coaches
similar.
drive?
Similar.
Yeah, we're hoping maybe she could become a bus driver.
Kansas City Superintendent got his CDL.
Yeah.
Sorry, my brother-in-law said when he was in high school, seniors drove the buses,
Yeah.
senior students. Like, okay, there you go.
Maybe not be great for the bus.
And I'll give one other item which was also brought up in June, was that we no longer have, the student accident insurance policy is strictly voluntary now. For several years, we were able to fund it by the school, for all school activities. So this is, and it's been put on the website, it is now back to the voluntary program that includes the sports or whichever, so most people don't understand it, but with Title IX, I believe it is, school, you are responsible for your own insurance for any accidents that happen in the school. Unless there's like severe gross negligence, then it's a different question altogether. But when a claim happens, say your son or daughter breaks a leg in gym class, that, not to pick on any class, I'm just saying they sometimes happen. Your insurance would always put it in. If you purchase the student accident policy, that becomes your secondary, which would then cover any out-of-pocket expenses that your own health insurance does not cover. For people that don't have health insurance, that becomes their primary insurance.
And how much is that?
I got it in the mail.
It's a tiered rate.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it, so I didn't see it.
Came in the mail this week.
It should be pinned to our homepage under the announcements as well, so I'll double check it.
And is that monthly
I sent out
payments
a
on
push
there?
notification several weeks ago. I'm
Was
sorry?
it, was it monthly payments that were on there?
I think they have a way for you to do it. I've never.
So the school used to fund that, but now we can't.
I was able to for about 5 or 6 years. I was able to get the school to fund it, but with the state
Yeah,
aid,
you have to.
And that insurance is only used if you get hurt in school.
Yes.
Yes, you can also purchase round-the-clock coverage as well. So you can have school time only, which includes, while you're at school or at any of the school-sponsored events. And then you can purchase round-the-clock coverage for additional, which then is anything that happen if you've gone, to the park or whatever.
And that's on the
just
website?
it's insurance, yeah.
Okay.
It's all through Bollinger. Actually, I think Bollinger changed it now. It's another company but it's on the announcement, all the details
Okay.
as well.
Motion to go out of public comment,
Okay. Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a question.
Other items.
You can ask it.
Yeah, the last meeting we're at, I was talking about, this new portal that's set up for the teachers and parents to communicate.
Yes.
Now, is that a third-party situation, or is that through the school?
It is part of our, it's part of a software program we have, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like
Yes,
so-
we're gonna be trained on rooms on, the fifth, I believe.
Okay.
Right off the bat. Let me just try to explain what the advantages are. When we communicate to a parent, one of the things we like to do is just document that we communicated to the parent. The parent communicated back to us about this or that, and we responded. One of the things it does is it unifies the responses. And you also can track back and you confirm the responses. Teachers, let's say a student struggling academically, teachers like to reach out and speak with the parent about it, let the parent know, and then the parent often responds back and forth. What can we do to get this child back on course, whatever. That's what it's designed to do in an organized fashion. And like I said, we're going to learn about it on the 5th. I think it sounds like a good idea. What's your concern on that, John?
I was just wondering, is it for the teachers and the parents, or are the kids gonna be using it too?
No,
The teachers,
this is
strictly through-
an adult, parent to teacher back and forth.
My only concern was I found it strange that we moved from an official school email to an app to communicate with the parents, That's what my concern was with it.
Okay.
Cause it's almost.
Is it set up yet? I couldn't get on it. I watched on the.
I think it's my understanding, and I got on to this lately, very late,
Yeah.
obviously, but my understanding is it'll be set up once the teachers have been trained. And the training is going to be, I think it's the first thing we're doing.
Is this replacing email?
Pardon?
Is this replacing email, this communication?
Yeah, all the correspondence to the parents would go through the room program, as I understand it.
Not in a broad manner. It's like, if you think of like the Thrill Share or some of the other announcements, that's a whole different thing. This is my understanding, to your point on that.
Yeah.
It's trying to mainstream the communication between your son or daughter's children, staff, teachers, with you. That's all it kind of does.
One-on-one or as a class?
One-on-one.
One-on-one.
Oh, yeah.
So like texting, almost like a text.
Almost, but what I
easier.
guess from what I found from the history here is that it seemed like, and maybe you can even someone to help, is that there was communication from the math teacher might go to you, the science teacher was using a different document, or it just was, there was other ways of
Like
communication.
Google Classroom versus like.
Yeah, there was 3 or 4
Class
different ways
Dojo
people
or-
communicated, and sometimes you had the husband go, I didn't know my wife even reached out to you.
Okay.
And then what was also supposed to be beneficial a little bit is that the other teachers could also be aware of some of the communication, because they might have some information to provide. So it just mainstreamed the communication.
So all communication
Don't
can
ask
be
any more
seen
questions,
by-
Kate.
Can be seen by all teachers? Or like if the
I-
math teacher emails me about a concern, can the science teacher also see that?
I believe they can, if they choose to. I believe they can access it, I'm not sure on that.
I don't know the answer.
We'll know
That's
after
okay.
training.
We'll know,
Yeah, the training
we'll know on
takes place.
Tuesday.
But supposedly with Braden, and I don't know if you remember, but he said there was just an issue with a uniform way of communicating with parents back and forth, and that sometimes, a guidance counselor might have reached out to you and we didn't even know it, or the teacher didn't know it. It's just supposed to help
everybody be on the
And
same.
so you don't have to go to three
It's
different things,
centralized.
right,
Right.
you know.
So
that makes sense.
That's right.
So
Just
it's
that.
kind of like a group message. Like, we're on a group message.
Well, I see it as it's a way that we're gonna keep track of the communications, like you said, so if one teacher reaches out to a parent and another teacher feels they have to, but they can see that, all right, this teacher already reached out to them, so we
We're
don't
not sure
have to.
about that.
So,
But then if you
were
falls
asking
back
for
on,
teachers to, for parents to keep track of too. It's-
well, yeah, and my only question is like for parents who have like, you know, divorced children, are they gonna be all on the same team so that they're all on the
Yes,
same
because
page?
it ties to your student's ID number.
Would it be
Correct.
okay
But
if
like
we-
my, like
Yes,
for
your
me-
situation, they would see
But-
everything you're seeing.
But for me, like, we have different logins for student ID, you know what I'm saying, like, we have
He has
our
his own
he has
email
his
and
own, like
password.
me and John, like, do it, you know, for everything for Ally, but we have our own.
Right.
So if everybody wants to communicate, it's all gonna be on the same forum, so we're all gonna see what's going on.
Yes, because I
It's
tried
what
to
my
get on it,
knowledge
so
is.
I watched that video, if you go under
Yeah.
correspondence on the thing and I watched the video, it's like Greenlee has her 4-digit number, it goes under that, and that's how you would see it, so like, we're not a divorce situation, but Matt could see the same thing, so,
Right,
you know, there have been times that Matt emails Mrs. Eckert, and then I'm emailing her, and she's like, oh, Matt and Mandy, you both just said the same thing.
happens.
right.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So she just got 2 emails, that takes up her time, that she doesn't,
I'm not fully aware of the vehicle it's per se, but there might be a brief or something, so you and.
yeah, so if you go on the parent portal and go under correspondence, there's a welcome letter, there's a link on that welcome letter
Right.
that directs you to a YouTube video on how to install it and what it does. So, yeah.
Yes, I should watch that too.
That's also where you
Yeah.
find the lunch thing, which I also did try to get on, and it was a little cumbersome and I had things going on, and I was just like, ah, shut it out.
Well, I was having
She's
trouble
getting
even
money.
getting on the parent
Bags of
portal,
quarters.
cause I had to call Ronnie because it kept saying like,
Real time
real
timeout.
timeout, but if
Yeah.
I go on my laptop, I could get on, but if I go on the app, I
Yeah, me
can't get
too.
on at all,
I agree.
period.
Yeah, and we did, I don't know who she was clarifying this with, but we did clarify
Okay.
that at least initially.
Okay.
Ronnie saw me about that there was a problem with getting through on the app.
Yeah,
And I think we're in the process of straightening that out. You know, in the technology world, there's a lot of new things.
right,
And, for example, the room situation, I'm gonna be learning about that on Tuesday, Tuesday, of next week. So we'll see, but I do know it's designed to streamline and coordinate the articulation between home and the school. But what we'll probably do is give you updates about that in our future meetings, or that could also be something I could try to do in one of the updates, in the week update kind of thing, so, down to near future, once we figure out exactly what it is. I obviously wasn't involved in the study of it, so I won't speak too much. Okay.
thank you.
And, so I also sent out something, the PTA is doing a Tricky Tray, about doing a board basket. So if anybody wants to donate to that, let me know. I was thinking, just to help out local businesses, to do shop local, so Barnyard, Tri-State Flag,
I'm doing River Mine.
George's.
Riviera Maya, George's, like anything
Culver's
like
Bar.
local. Yes, Culver Bar, whatever you wanna do. Let me know, yeah, I'll coordinate the basket.
You just collect it.
She's collecting.
Yeah, I'm
the
collecting, so if you wanna buy a gift card from any local shop or
Is there
whatever,
an amount you want?
there's not an amount I want, whatever you feel you can give.
I'm
from
doing
the
50.
So, and I will collect a few little items from shops that sell things, like maybe the bookstore, Tri-State Flag. We could do George's or Culver Bar, stick a bottle on there. But yeah, so the baskets kind of go $35, you know, from what Jen told me, $35. There's a slot for a bigger,
Okay,
you know, super prize, whatever. So I thought it would be nice if the board did a basket for the PTA. I'm also coordinating the kindergarten basket, so if anybody has anything for the kindergarten basket, the theme is Parents' Night Out.
I heard you're like the biggest, best basket so far.
I will. Anybody want to babysit for Parents' Night Out? No, I can't put your name in a voucher.
Ask Angela, ask Angela.
I have a hand in the back, but so is it okay, Chris, if I?
Kind of to that point, so one thing that when I talk to people that wanna see is like, so right now the PTA on our Facebook page has up about the turkey tray. but it's not on the school website, and it's like there was no other communication to the parents, so I was just wondering in general for future, like bettering communication with the parents and the school specifically, and then maybe in the broader community to, you know, grandparents that wanna donate a basket too, is would there be a way to somehow post that on the?
I think that was always
school
Katie, so I think
Kind of
that's just,
streamline.
right now, we're just in a transition, but that's why I
Can we
think
put
probably.
it
PTA stuff was made accessible.
Yeah, so-
And she
I'll look
emailed
into
it,
that.
Something
Yeah.
to look into.
She always send out emails.
they sent emails home to the parents,
Okay.
everything.
And going off of that, I know the schedule, or not the schedule, the school supply list too is on Facebook, but not on, could
Right.
not find it on the website. Thank goodness Mandy screenshotted it. I don't know what my child needs. So, yeah, I
It
think
was, it was on what?
Facebook, it was on the Facebook page.
So it was on the
Okay.
school Facebook, but if you're
Yeah,
on
but it
Facebook, you would
wasn't-
have missed that, yeah.
yeah.
So it should be.
But it's not
on-
correct for kindergarten.
Yeah, but it's
Then I
not
got a
on the
letter in the
website.
mail from the kindergarten teacher, was like, bring these things, and I was
And I
like,
know
oh.
like if the local, I know when they do like local, the fire department does local events, they email Katie Brady and Katie Brady sends it home through, well, Katie used to send it home through, to all the parents.
Motion to adjourn?
Okay.
Second.